Ladies and gentlemen, sports fans of all ages, it's our pleasure to present to you the newest name in Delaware sports and sports around the world, who has had absolutely no success in the real world, so he's dedicated his life to talking sports. He's known to be prickly and very opinionated. It's time to get in the huddle with your host, Coach Muddle.
All right. Good morning. Good morning. See, I don't even know where I'm at. So let me start off. Okay. I just need to start off right now with the prerequisite. If you hear a lot of stuff in the background, someone left me at the airport. I'm still here since Saturday night. So I can't help with the background noise if it gets in. And also, I want to make a big shout out. The other professor, Keith White, who's filled in many times, been a big part of this show. He had surgery over the weekend. So our thoughts and prayers. Get well, buddy. We can't wait to have you back on the show. So he had to get some stuff going on with that. So we got that, and let's start with the Masters.
Okay. Yeah. Look, for Sunday, the guy I picked too, it's a shame because John Rahm, obviously, he had the best Sunday of anybody. But when you're at even going into Sunday, and I think Matsuyama was at 11 under, it's just too big of a lead. It got interesting at one point, because he had like a 4 or 5 stroke lead, and then Matsuyama hit one in the water. Did you see that one, Coach?
No, I didn't.
Yeah, so he hit one in the water, I think at like 15, and Xander, I can't pronounce his last name, Schufala or whatever it is. He, got it to 2, but then on the next one, he goes and hits it in the water. And then after that, it ended up being he only won by a stroke, but he went into 18. Basically, he could have. I mean, it was he could bogey it. If he double bogeyed it, he would have went and played the kid who was actually playing his first Masters, Will Zlatoris, and good showing for him. But Dustin Johnson, last year's winner, doesn't even make the cut. It was kind of
that was surprising to me.
As you know, Coach, you want to see that Masters where they're competing down the stretch and. Like I said, you had that little bit where it got interesting for like 10 minutes, but other than that, that was it. That was game, set, and match pretty much.
Right. So, and, we got that. And what about your guy? Because,
John Rahm finished, the guy I picked, he finished 5th. So I bet him to finish top 10. So I won that. Obviously, I lost him winning it, but it's not easy to pick. Basically, I've gone first. He was 4th or 5th, so I mean that's not bad. I'm not, I'll take it. You know what I mean? I'll take that. That's not bad. But I don't know if you just heard the news about Edelman retiring. Did you?
No, I just saw that the Patriots terminated his contract because he failed a physical. I saw that. I didn't.
Yeah, well, supposedly it's part of him essentially retiring.
Okay.
Yeah. So I was a little surprised with that because. I know he did have the knee injury last year, but I thought he still had some juice left in the tank. Now, they did get Aguilar, and they did sign Kendrick Bourne, so maybe there just, wasn't enough, I don't want to say room for him, but, I don't know what the situation was. I was a little bit surprised, but I'm sure Bill, too.
Hey, Chris, I like that one. You better watch. Listen, Chris, I hope you watched Animal House recently because I think with all the stuff going on, that's going to be a banned movie here soon. There's a lot of stuff in there that is really not good anymore. So we'll have to check it out and see. What was the other? There was something else I had to bring up that was not sports related, and I kind of forgot right now. But it is par for the course for me. With it is, And do you want to jump into how bad the Yankees are doing? Like how crap in the bed they have started off?
Well, it's early on the year. They do have some injuries. Honestly, the biggest surprise with them is more Herman looks so good in spring training.
Yeah.
And he's gotten shelled his first two starts. You got Cole on the mound tonight. Obviously, Voigt's been out. That's a big key to the lineup.
And here's my thing with that. I thought last year Ford played great at first base. Mike Ford.
Mm-hmm.
Why did we go out and get Jay Bruce? Has stunk the place up. I mean, the guy's barely batting over 100. I mean, he's batting like 110 right now.
Yeah.
I don't know why we brought this guy in when we have Mike Ford sitting in down in AAA, or what do they call it, the alternate site. Bring him up. Let's go. Put him in. Christ.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think the bigger thing with the AL, obviously the AL East, you got 4 teams tied at 4-5, and then the Red Sox started 8-0-3, and now they've won 6 straight. Now, 3 were against Baltimore, so I don't know how you would really judge those wins. Right. But I don't know.
The Yankees too. 3 of them are, actually, I think they only got 2 out of the 3 against Baltimore. I think Baltimore beat them once. So,
well, no, what happened? The Red Sox opened up with Baltimore and got swept. So they got swept, and then now they've won 6 straight. So, look, I still think it's the Yankees' division to lose, obviously, but I wonder about their team in regards to, can they hang with the Dodgers? Because look, man, Dodgers and Padres, they've shot right out of the gate, 8-2, 7-3, and the Padres are playing without Tatis. Curious to see what happens there. They said he's not going to need surgery, but they don't really know yet, because if you lose him, I think your chances of making a World Series run go out the door with him. I mean, that's probably your best player in your team. I mean, some people may argue it's Machado, but I think Tatis is your best everyday player on the Padres. So, we'll see. But I'll tell you, I'm happy with how the Phillies have started. They stole one yesterday. Did you see that play, Coach?
No, I haven't. I've been kind of busy all day.
Baum was out at home, and they called him safe in the 9th inning last night, and the Phillies won. And they replayed it, and he was out. His foot. The catcher blocked his foot off the plate, and he was definitely out. And they didn't overturn it. And so everybody's in a stir today about restarting playing the game over from the 9th inning and all. And look, it's one game, I'm happy with how the Phillies have started. I love the lineup. Your boy Didi had 4 RBIs yesterday. I'd actually like them. I think they should move him up the lineup. McCutcheon's hitting under 200. Everybody else, Baum started a little slow, but I like Alec Baum. I think he's a future star in the making. I'd like to see the Phillies move Didi up to the leadoff from 7, because Segura's batting 6. I wouldn't mind seeing that. And then I just don't like the starting pitching with the Phillies. Let's see if Eflin can be consistent. And then Matt Moore, he needs to go back to Japan and pitch, because that's where he was last year. He just can't throw. He's just inconsistent. So we will see what happens in regards to that. But I think the Phillies. Yeah, and can you put what my cousin said?
Yeah. I was just going to say we'll get to him.
The Flyers are done. You beat Boston, and then you lose to the Sabres, and it's the second time they lost to the Sabres, and the one in the last 2 weeks, and the one time they did beat them, they had to come back from being down 3-0. So I think everybody knew yesterday, and I'm sure you did too. That was it for the Flyers. They're done, and obviously today they sold. They were selling. I think they know this team, no matter what, even if somehow they went on a run and got in the back end of the playoffs, they just don't have it, which is quite surprising, because, you look last year.
Good you had last year, and you thought you were building on that.
They were the 1 seed, obviously. Now look, they only had that 3-game playoff, but still, they were a top 3 or 4 seed. And then you figured, well, we're going to get back Oscar Lindblom, who was obviously out from cancer last year, and Nolan Patrick was going to come back after he had his bouts with migraines, I believe. So you figure we're going to be as good or better. And, man, the defense isn't good. Carter Hart's in his head. they're calling. I love the coach. I love AB, and now it's looking like his head might be on the chopping block. And you look at where we are, Coach, from a year ago to now, and man, a lot of question marks with the Flyers. And then you look at the lineup too, and you got older guys like G and Voracek. Where are you going to head in that direction? And then you got that mixed bag of young guys who have been very up and down. Goes to Spear, Provolop. I have high hopes for him. He's had a down year. So just to me, a lot of question marks with where the Flyers are going to go.
Listen, I feel like the Rangers are in kind of that same boat. Like they're so young. That's the problem. And I don't know.
They've been playing better though. The Rangers.
And they've been playing better. But how many times you go into the third period with a lead and blow it, and then lose in overtime last night to the Islanders, I believe it was. But man, it's tough. It's tough to watch right now with that. And Stiz, we're going to get to some football, yes, and bring that up. I did see that big deal, that signing. So we'll bring that up here shortly.
Yeah, but I think that's a good signing. And I guess that would mean is one of the – I mean, obviously they brought Fournette back, and he's going to be a part. Does that mean Ronald Jones is going to be gone,
Well, no, because Bernard, they like him because of pass catching. So his back. So I think he'll be that third back guy. I don't think they're bringing him in to be a spell. I think it's going to be Fournette and the kid, and then Bernard will come in out of the backfield and be.
What's crazy in regard to the Bucs? They're going to be better than they were this year. They are. I mean, I think I don't know. You have to look it up. But I think, Coach, this might be the first time a Super Bowl winning team is bringing back all 22 starters.
I believe you're right. Yeah.
Obviously, you still have AB. Yeah, I agree, too. That's the scariest thing for me, too, is heart is broken. And he might have to go back to his sports psychologist because supposedly he fired him. And I don't know. That's looking like it might be the problem.
Look, I got a number for a good one. So listen, Carter Hart, pick up the phone, call me. I'll hook you up, man. I got the best in the business, baby. All right. Tell me, not a Nick. Do I not have the best?
No, he does. He has the best in the business. She knows how to break him down. If you can break him down, you can do anything. So,
that's right. That's right.
But in regard to the Bucs, look, I think obviously the Saints take a step back this year. Still have a good roster, but they've lost a lot, and you lose Drew Brees. Winston transitioning to the starting job. So, I think the Bucs are going to win. Obviously, it's a 17-game year. They're going to win 12 or 13 games, and that defense is going to get better. That offense is going to get better. And let's not forget, Coach, they got some draft picks here they can add to that team, too. The one question is, do they bring AB back? I don't know.
Honestly, I don't. I think he's, one in. What do you need him for? Where do you need him? This is like I think this is a very high receiver draft. Even after you get like rounds 3, 4, and 5, I think you will find a quality receiver in that rounds 3, 4, or 5, and that's why again I'm not high. All these mock drafts, the Giants still taking a receiver at 11. I'm not buying it.
Right.
No,
that's not going to happen.
I think if I'm picking, I'm okay with an offensive lineman if one of those guys fall to you. And I think if Kyle Pitts, I don't think he gets to 11.
No.
I don't think he gets there. No. That would be the only offensive guy I'd be okay with at 11, I think. Other than alignment on the offensive side of the ball, I think you got to go.
Yeah.
I've been beating my head against the wall for years. We need an edge rusher, a legit pass rusher. Yeah. I'm okay if Parsons falls to you. Him and Rousseau are got to be my two guys.
Rousseau, Coach, they're talking about him in the late 20s now. He's really
he's kind of dropped. But
it's all these quarterbacks going. You got 4 or 5 quarterbacks that are jumping into the top 10 to 15 now. The one I don't get is there's a lot of chatter about the Cowboys trading up for Kyle Pitts. And if that happens, to me, that just tells you To me, it's just the league's passed him by. I mean, don't you realize you need defense? Like, the defense was the huge issue going into last year.
Right.
You grab CeeDee Lamb, okay, if you like him. But now it's glaring. I mean, your defense was horrible this year. And then you're going to take another piece to add for Dak? I mean, now look, don't get me wrong. They get Kyle Pitts. They're the second best offense in the NFL to the Chiefs. But you know it too, Coach. You got to stop people too.
Right.
And
absolutely,
they are in desperate need of secondary help. Look, you lose Sean Lee. I don't know what's going on with the kid Van Der Esch. He's had injury problems. Jalen Smith looked really good early on as a linebacker, but a little bit of over pursues, a little too aggressive sometimes, and they use it against them. DeMarcus Lawrence signs the big contract, and I don't see it. I just don't understand. And look, Sherman would be a good pickup for the Cowboys, but Richard Sherman isn't going to solve that defense. They have a lot of holes on defense, and to me, it'd be once again Jerry Jones getting involved. And they said last year he wanted CeeDee Lamb, and that's why they went that way.
Right.
I just think they need too much help on defense,
I
and
agree.
you're in some bad contracts with Dak, Zeke, and Amari Cooper. You need to get some defensive players in there and try to help fix that defense.
I agree, 100%. I mean, they gotta go defense. I mean, got to. And Nick, we'll get to Julian. Let me finish my thought here.
Yeah.
But you gotta go. And I also, I read also the Eagles try to trade back up and get into the quarterback mix. I'm not buying that. I
think that's a smokescreen.
I think it is. I'm just not buying that.
Now, what my cousin brought up, I think, is interesting, and Stiz mentioned too about Jacques Vaughn. Yeah, I mean, Stiz, I agree. I don't know. They kind of got a full running back room. There's going to be somebody that's on its way out, I would think. And I wonder if that's not possible with Julian Edelman. If, with the contract he's making, Belichick said, okay, go ahead. And, maybe he goes to Tampa Bay. Because would you not? I heard that too. I heard Raiders too. But would that not make more sense to have Edelman there than Antonio Brown? I would take Edelman in a second, just the way he works with Brady. And then you still have Godwin, obviously, and Mike Evans. I think he would fit great in Tampa Bay. I think that makes a lot of sense. I just don't know if Belichick is going to allow that to happen to go help Brady more. That's the thing.
Well, the problem is once you retire and you sit out that year, all bets are off. He doesn't. I don't think he has to come back. I think because I don't think there's a
contract, though,
right.
Too.
So he's free to do whatever,
Right.
So.
And I gotta wonder if right now it's that like Gronk, and then maybe after training camp or halfway through training camp, that knee starts feeling miraculously better, and he goes and plays. And Stiz, good point. AB and Tampa, they are too far away. And AB actually commented on their Instagram saying sign AB. So I just wonder if they look at it now and say, look, he got his Super Bowl. They're worried about him coming in next year and
creating some noise. Yes.
And creating problems. Yep. And you know what, AB? I don't have sympathy for you. Like, he went in and didn't cause problems this year, but nobody wants to sign him because of all the stuff in the past.
Right.
And they don't have Tom Brady, a quarterback, to keep him at line. The only one I've heard as a possibility besides Tampa, Coach, is Seattle. And that makes sense because you do have Russell Wilson, but we'll see. I don't think Seattle needs a receiver. I mean, you got two good guys in Lockett, and obviously I'm drawing a blank, Metcalf. They need defensive help.
Right. A lot of teams need defensive help. And, like you said, Clowney to the Browns. I saw that couple of
Lentz brought up, too. He's right. They have been talking about AB going to the Ravens. And that one, the only thing that concerns me is getting somebody like him around Lamar Jackson. I know Lamar's a leader and all, but, you don't – I think me and Coach have stated, and we were right last year, we were both spot on about Odell Beckham Jr. and how he negatively affects Baker Mayfield. You see him go out, you see Cleveland play better. I could see AB having that kind of negative impact on Lamar Jackson. Yeah, he needs people to throw to. I agree. But I'd be worried about him having a negative impact on Lamar and Lamar trying to force the ball to him, much like the discussion we had with Odell and Baker.
Right, right. Absolutely. I agree with that. And it's funny because I feel like because isn't that his cousin, Hollywood Brown, that's on the Ravens? He's related to Hollywood Brown. They're related.
Okay.
And it's funny because Hollywood Brown's about out the door. The Ravens are about ready to on his headset.
Rocking the DMX.
Yes. DMX, man. Yes. So, but he's out the door. So kind of would be funny that you replaced your cousin or whatever the relationship.
I think they'll keep Hollywood Brown just because of the athletic ability and the big playability. But yeah, he needs some weapons for him. That's one thing I think with Lamar you could say, and I think Tua had that excuse in Miami. Put some better players around me. I think the Ravens kind of, Lamar could complain about that. He does not have much talent in regards to the outside. I mean, Willie Snead,
yeah,
maybe a half-decent third receiver. Hollywood Brown's your number one guy, and to me, Hollywood Brown would be a nice slot receiver, Nelson Aguilar-esque type player.
He's a number two at best. He's a number two at best. Yeah,
at best. I would lean more towards a good, reliable number 3 receiver that can make some big plays for your offense and get you 600 or 700 yards and 5 or 6 touchdowns. That's his ceiling to me.
Right. Absolutely. And we'll see. Cause I am telling you, right. I've said this since Kenny Golladay got signed. Slayton is going to have a breakout year this year if Daniel Jones can just stop his happy feet. Okay. I'll just keep putting it out there. So,
and that's why I think you're going to see, I really truly believe Giants are going offensive linemen. There's a couple tackles there, whether it's Slater from Northwestern or Darrisaw from Virginia Tech. I think that is where you are going to see the Giants go. And, look, it's already been said, and we've talked about it, Coach, that Danny Dimes don't have any excuses. Well, now once you put him, you got 2 back-to-back first-round tackles in front of him, too, and the weapons he has, there is no excuses for Danny Dimes.
But I've been reading this, and my personal opinion, I'm very high on Pert, the kid that was 3rd round last year, saw a lot of time at right tackle.
Okay.
The Giants are very high on him as well. Had an ankle injury the last 3 games, so it was tough. But so with that, it was Jared. I see you're calling, buddy. Give me a minute. Before
give us a couple minutes to call back, Jared. Yeah, we'll call in. Yeah.
So they're high on him. They really like the Shane Lemieux. I hope I'm saying his name right.
Yeah.
And Andrew started coming around. So I really think you really need a guard and a center, even though
you got Solder too, Coach. Yeah, and you got Solder
and you got Solder as your swing guy. I mean, you could always maybe move him into guard, maybe. I don't know, but I'm more interested in signing a legit center. As much as Gates had a good year, kind of carried it in there. Mm-hmm. But I think in the 3rd round we might be able to get like that kid from Oklahoma, who's projected in that 3rd round. Maybe he'll fall to the Giants. Yeah. I think in the later rounds you'll find those good interior linemen, and I don't think the 1st round. I think you got to go with the edge and possibly Parsons if he falls to you.
Yeah, and look, Coach, a guy like Parsons on that defense too, another playmaker. Because you even said they could use a pass rusher, but I really would look, the Giants defense made big strides last year, and you add a playmaker like Parsons to that defense, and watch out. Yeah, you listen to the little Ricky Martin. Jared, I
like both those picks because they need help in both those areas.
Yeah, in Pittsburgh, look, you lose. I don't know. He's still out there, but you lose Villanueva at tackle. You have James Conner at running back, and then
he's out there too he's a free agent.
Oh, is he a free agent? Okay. Oh, I'm sorry about that. And then I don't know. If I'm the Steelers, look, you couldn't run the ball last year. And look, to me, running backs are all interchangeable. If you have a good line, you can put anybody back there and you can run the ball. So to me, I'm getting the lineman first and then grabbing that running back in a third or fourth round or out there in free agency and, figuring out the line first because that was their problem. I think Ben, you can win games with if he's throwing it 20, 25 times a game. You can't win with Ben throwing it 50 times a game. I mean, because their defense is top 3. They got a great defense. If they could just run the ball a little bit and put a little bit of pressure off Ben, because Ben just starts throwing the ball over the damn field too and throwing interceptions, and you got to beware of that.
Well, I'm really interested to see because now Bud Dupree is gone over to Tennessee, so
Right.
Now we'll see is TJ Watt a legit Batman or was he just Robin wearing a Batman cape?
Well, Bud Dupree was out for half of the year last year, so. But no, it's a big loss. You're right. I agree with you. He is a big loss. They still have Snell though too to run. He's kind of up and down, but I don't think they'll go running back in the first round. I think they'll go line. I'm surprised they haven't brought Villanueva back. He's still one of the tackles out there, and so are the 2 tackles from the Chiefs. They're still out there too, if I'm correct.
And I'm just wondering if the injuries haven't been fixed, and they're just teams are just waiting for them to be 100%. I think.
Yeah, and then in regards to the Eagles, where they go, I think if Devontae Smith's there, they'll think about it, but I think it's tough. Like some people say tackle, but to me, it's like you got Andre Dillard in the first round. You got Lane Johnson at right tackle.
We just restructured. And by the way, did you hear was it Rich Eisen? I forget. He was on a podcast, said, hey, him and Jim Ross from WWF are really tight.
He might wrestle one day. I heard it.
Get into the ring.
Yeah. But no, I think the Eagles are going to go, like if Parsons, like I said, if Devontae Smith's there, I think they'll really think about it. If not, they've never drafted a linebacker in the first round, but I think you could see them take Parsons if he goes past the Giants, or I think it might be Surtain, the corner, or Caleb Farley from Virginia Tech. I think they know that, look, they're young on offense, but their line, if healthy, is very good. You got Miles Sanders at running back already. You got some young guys at receiver. So, like I said, I think it's Smith or one of those corners or Parson. I think that's where we're looking at.
Yeah, if I'm the Eagles, I think, Surtain Jr. will be there, or Farley, like you said. They need some help at corner. And they too do not have a legit pass rusher, somebody that the defense has to go or the offense has to go, we need to stop this guy. And it hurts. It hurts, especially in this league when teams are throwing the ball all over the place. Yeah.
No, I mean that's definitely an area.
Because you have a couple of complimentary guys. Brandon
Graham.
Graham is
Fletcher Cox, but he's not.
But he's way long in the tooth.
Yeah.
He's long in the tooth, and he's more of a tackle than an end. And
right? No, he is
really.
He can be disruptive, but he's inconsistent too. He really is. He's not Aaron Donald. He's not Aaron Donald. And look, I also think too. I wouldn't be surprised if this is Fletcher Cox. He's got a year or two left with the Eagles. That deal, he's not worth $100 million a year. I'm not a year, $100 million contract, I should say.
Right.
You watch Aaron Donald play, and then Fletcher Cox. He had a slow start to the year last year. I just think that money can be spent better elsewhere. And he's getting up there in age. Same thing with Brandon Graham. Love him. Look, he's the guy who caused the fumble in the Super Bowl. Look, a guy who a lot of people called a bust at one point, got in Jim Schwartz's system, but and that worked out for him. But I'll tell you, that's very interesting too, though, Coach, to bring up. Jim Schwartz said he might retire from football, and he also
want to bring that up.
He also said too he was going to take the year off, but now he's back in Tennessee already, and that tells you a lot about what Jim Schwartz thought about the Philadelphia Eagles organization.
Absolutely.
He wanted out. He wanted off that ship. He didn't want to take the blame. I don't think he liked Howie Roseman and the direction. I don't know about the whole Peterson thing, but I don't think he wanted to be with the Eagles anymore. I don't think he liked the direction they're going with Howie Roseman, 100%. And I think that just tells you a lot when you say you might retire, and then what? 3 months later, you already got a job.
Not
again?
even. Yeah. I think he probably went on vacation with his wife, and his phone started blowing up, and his wife just said, "Take the call." And I don't want you around the house. So
right. Yeah, Jared, I watched Mania. Look, it was good. I mean, WrestleMania is WrestleMania. I thought the main event was really good with Daniel Bryan. A little disappointed. I mean, once again, WWE, it's just, I don't know. They seem out of touch. Not that you have to give the fans what they want, but, obviously they wanted Edge or Daniel Bryan to win, so of course they let Roman Reigns win. And he pins them both, too. I don't think you watched, Coach, did you?
I didn't watch.
Coach was Coach is a big wrestling fan, but I guess he didn't watch
you know what? Here's the thing. I've really, it's fallen out of favor with me.
I agree. No, me too. I just watch WrestleMania.
It is, and I just really can't jump in and watch like you can jump in, watch WrestleMania. I can't do that. I just, it's it just is.
And that's the one thing. If you could put up what my cousin said, you are going to see, and this is the one thing I do like about their coach. The Eagles are going to run the football this year. You can stamp it. And Miles Sanders, if he's healthy, I'm going to say 1,400 or 1,500 yards rushing and at least 10 touchdowns.
Hey, didn't they bring back the guy from Miami? Did I read that?
Yes, Jordan Howard. Yeah, you're
Jordan
right.
Jordan Howard back too.
I mean, he's a nice complimentary back. I liked him when he was here. Thought I should have given him more touches. Kind of, not a great year in Miami last year. But they're going to run the football, and they have the line to do it if they're healthy. I think Miles Sanders has a Pro Bowl year.
Time out, though. I want to back up a little bit.
Okay.
Nick, why is it Deuce's fault that Sanders didn't get enough touches last year? I'm a little confused why it's Deuce's fault, since he's the running back coach and not the play caller.
You're right about that. I agree with you in that. But a lot of people questioned about how Deuce handled the rotation of the backs. They really did. That he was taking them out too much, not letting them be the guy enough. I mean, everybody talked about how Miles Sanders was going to be the bell cow. And, exactly. I agree with Coach in the sense that calling the plays, but no, the running back rotation was trash. I agree 100% with my cousin on that. I also agree with what you said too, Coach, about the play calling. Deuce has nothing to do with that. But there's another prime example of a person who wasn't happy with the organization. And I know he got passed over as head coach, but Deuce has been here since the 90s. And now he's gone, and he went to Detroit. So it's not like he got to go to New England or Tampa Bay or Indy or Pittsburgh, this, great tradition that you think I'm going to be able to elevate my career. He went to Detroit. So that's telling you something too, Coach.
But time out a second. And in Deuce's defense, Deuce has turned down a lot of jobs.
Yeah, he has.
Because it was implied to him that he was the next man up. Okay? Wait a second. And also,
I don't think they promised him that coach job.
I didn't say they promised. I said implied. I said implied, big difference. Promise, implied, big difference.
Yeah. Right.
Okay? But also, that was the only job left after they fired Philadelphia. When they fired Doug, all the other jobs were pretty much filled. So where else was he going to go?
Yeah.
He didn't have, there wasn't that much. I mean, you wait until you all the other jobs and then you fire a guy. That's, come on.
Also, too, Deuce should have took an offensive coordinator spot, but I don't think that he could get it. Yeah, and I agree. He hasn't climbed the ladder, and that was the problem. He couldn't get an offensive coordinator job somewhere. And look, I think he's a good leader. I think he's it's just, I think he was well respected in the Eagles locker room. It's just, he was never an offensive coordinator.
Right.
I think a lot of people
and I fault that on Deuce, and they brought in guys that were not, these coaches that call plays. They never gave Deuce the opportunity to call plays. So hopefully
Doug
he
passed
gets
him
that
over
opportunity.
too. Doug passed him over twice for offensive coordinator too.
Yeah.
Let's not forget about that. And I think that showed a lot. And let's not forget about Doug. Doug, a guy who won a Super Bowl, couldn't even get a head coaching interview this year. He interviewed to be the offensive coordinator for Seattle.
But there were no jobs left when they fired him. You remember that? There was nobody left.
No. When they fired him, there were still some jobs left.
No, there wasn't. There was no head coaching jobs left.
I guarantee you there was.
There was not.
No, there was, but still, regardless. Nobody, if you wanted
you know what it was? I think the Texans was the only job left. Okay? There was the only job left. Okay? And I think they already had, with the deal with going on with Deshaun and all that stuff, I think that was already
honestly,
deal.
I think that was one of the first jobs ever that really nobody wanted to take. I mean, usually when you say, hey, look, that's one of 32 jobs in the NFL, so if there's something out there, I'm going to take it. I think this was one of the years, and you saw one of Andy's guys, a former coach, David Culley. He was the wide receiver coach. He's actually the wide receiver coach who got into a fight with T.O. when he was in Philly. But he took the job, and I feel bad for him because he's walking into – I mean, it's impossible. His job is impossible.
Right.
If he gets that team to 500 in the next 2 or 3 years, he should be coach of the year.
Well, look, here's the thing. They missed the opportunity to fix their team and be back in contention relatively quickly when you have one of the top 5 quarterbacks in the league doesn't want to be there anymore. Teams are going to back up the Brinks truck for you.
Yeah.
And you could have really built your team. You could have been the next Miami Dolphins, who have done a great job with all these picks that they received somehow, some way.
Yeah, but their window's gone now. Because now,
oh, absolutely, the window's gone with all this. This
they
stuff
could have got 3 first
right.
rounders, and now you don't know what's going to happen with Deshaun. I mean, they're going to investigate, and I really think, until this is figured out, they're not going to let him play. I don't think. And look, Nike dropped him. Beats by Dre dropped them, so you're losing sponsors. It's not good.
Thing he does, but part of the CBA now, this is cause for the team to not pay him. So now he's not getting his money.
Yeah, but that's their biggest asset though, too. So we're gonna have to see what happens. I mean, look, and I think they're investigating it legally too, not civil wise, I mean criminally. And
right.
and that's so we gotta see. We gotta see what happens. But they missed their window. I mean, to me, and look, you know who the big team they think, if Jalen Hurts don't watch out, the Eagles are in the best position to get him. They got $60 million in cap next year and 3 first-round picks if Wentz plays 70% of the year. So if Hurts don't work out, Deshaun might be coming to the Eagles. If
a bull had tits and be a female,
I know. Come on. No, I'm saying if he gets cleared of all these things and it's where he can, because I still think he's not going to be out of the league. I don't think he raped any women. No. He might have been inappropriate, might get a suspension, but I don't think he did anything. I don't know. I've heard some weird things. It's one of those situations, Coach, you can't win by talking about. Right. So we'll let the investigation play out and see what happens. But, 2 or 3 months ago, the Texans could have got a king's ransom for him. And now you might be looking at just a first-round pick or something after everything's resolved.
Right. Right. And I think he'll have to play. Here's a question. This year being a 17-game season.
That's a great question. That's a really good question. I think you got to, don't you? Especially if to me, Stiz, if you break it within the 16 games, then I think you could say it's a record. But if you have to break it in that 17th game, it's almost like, because baseball had that issue. Remember, Coach? Mm-hmm. They said some of the things because it was like 152 or something, and went to 162, 154, I think it was, and they went to 162, whatever it may be. That's a good question, Stiz. Like I said, I think if they break it in 16, it should be legitimate. But yeah, that's gonna be really interesting. Yeah,
Larry Brown used to hide his jersey when he
was hurt. He used to hide his jersey because Allen Iverson would want to play.
Right.
And right there, also a great comment. But that's why Philadelphia loved Allen Iverson. They had the whole practice thing and all, but with the one thing with him, you knew when it came to game time, that guy was going to give every single thing he had and his body to the game. And that's why he's the Chase Utley, Allen Iverson, Pete Rose. Those are the players, Brian Dawkins, that Philadelphia fans love. And I know they all had talent too, but they care about effort. As long as you're giving it your all and they can say it, you're going to be loved in Philadelphia.
Absolutely. And I, talk about the jersey thing, and this doesn't have to do with injury, but
Right.
apparently I think it was Derek Jeter's first All-Star game. They didn't send his jersey. They didn't make a jersey for him.
Mm-hmm.
So what they did is they went out to the concession stand, bought a New York jersey without a number on it, and it's black marker with his number 2 on or they spray painted it or some stupid thing, but they had to do that because they didn't have a jersey for him to wear.
Yeah.
So,
and look, Lee just said too, I guess one time he didn't have shoes, so he sent a kid to Foot Locker. Look, man, AI was a bad boy. He really was.
But I don't get it though, because I remember, I show up for practice hurt because, man, I wanted to be dressed for games, and just being, kids really didn't care. Oh, I could still stand on the sideline in my jersey, but it's fine because I have a hangnail. I can't on my pinky. I can't play. I mean,
AI kind of reminds me a little bit of Mickey Mantle, because Mickey Mantle, he always thought he was going to die young, so he didn't really take great care of himself. And I think AI can be kind of accused of that too. Didn't take the best care of himself. And you really wonder if conditioning and, if you put everything into it, what their careers might have been. Look, AI had a great career, so did Mickey Mantle. But they both, I think, had, a little bit of alcohol issues and other issues. And, man, if some of those things weren't there, I really wonder. Because you look at that AI team. He had nobody around him in 2001. I mean, Eric Snow. And, look, they could defend the hell out of the ball. But they didn't have any talent. You didn't have another scorer. I mean, he was their only legitimate scorer, and except for maybe Aaron McKee off the bench. Allen just took that team on his back. They make it to the finals. They beat the Lakers, who hadn't lost a game in the playoffs, and that's one of my favorite teams. They're like my '93 Phillies. They didn't win it all, but it's a team that will always have a special place in my heart.
Wild thing, Mitch. Yeah.
No, you got to bring Mitch up. But that was a scrappy team, too. They
were scrappy.
They all were on steroids. That's
yeah,
fine. I don't care.
Fine.
They got it done. Steroids were legal at the time.
That's right, man. I mean, how do you, that's the whole thing with Mark McGwire and everything. It wasn't a legal substance. It wasn't banned by Major League Baseball. So why? That's like Bill Belichick. Well, here the rule book says I can do this. When people bitch about these quirky plays that he comes up with, i.e. the muddle huddle. Oh, you can't do that. Well, yes, you can. It says it in the rule book. Come on.
Right. Well, Coach, as you bring Belichick up, I don't want to shift gears too much real quick, but, one thing I want to bring up, everybody's going on this whole, and look, I've always said I'm not in the doubting Tom Brady business. I think Brady is the greatest football player ever. I think there's a great argument for him to be the greatest player ever in all sports. I truly believe that. But everybody who sits there and now says, well, look, Brady won without Belichick, and kind of try to diminish Belichick's record, let me tell you this. Neither of those guys have the amount of Super Bowls they do without the other.
Right.
That's why they were
I
great.
agree.
Because they had each other.
I agree. Yep.
If you remove them from each other, I'm telling you, Brady doesn't have 8 or 7, whatever it is, and Belichick doesn't have 6 or 7, whatever his is. They were great because they were together. If you look at a lot of the great dynasties, Coach, San Francisco, you had Bill Walsh and Joe Montana. Dallas, you had Jimmy Johnson, and you had obviously Troy Aikman. You had Terry Bradshaw, and you had Chuck Knox? Chuck Noll. Sorry. But, you have that great quarterback, great coach combination, and both of them are the greatest ever. And to think that Brady would have the success he had, and I think Brady would tell you that too. That without him, without Belichick, he wouldn't have the success he had. And Belichick, same thing. Without Brady, he wouldn't have the success he had.
Absolutely. I agree 100%. And I don't think anything, and I think, I was watching some sports talk show where they were saying, oh, you wouldn't have said, how does a guy win a Super Bowl and get fired 3 years later, meaning Doug Peterson. So why shouldn't Bill Belichick be on the hot seat? I'm sorry. I think Bill Belichick is not going to be on the hot seat this year. I mean, because I don't think that the Patriots are under 500 this year. Okay.
No.
I think they have a winning record. They're going to bounce back. And I don't think Cam makes it through the season. I think that they're going to make a quarterback change and, a different, maybe Teddy Bridgewater, and
I think Jimmy G
will be one of those guys might wind up in New England who are both definite upgrades of
let's see what happens in the draft too, Coach. Let's see what happens in the draft. Because I would not be surprised if New England makes a move and moves up. I think that's something to look out for. But that Bill knows too. I think Bill wants to he wants to win a Super Bowl now too because Brady won it. To be honest with you, if I had to bet, I would bet against it. I think he's got the AFC stacked, man. And now you got a guy like Mahomes in the AFC.
Yeah.
It's going to be tough. There's a lot of good teams, a lot of good young quarterbacks.
Buffalo is up and coming.
Yeah. Miami's up and coming.
Miami is
in
up
your division.
And coming.
Jets got tons of picks.
The Jets, but I'm going to go, what about the Chargers? The Chargers
with Herbert, 100%.
So we'll see. And I know all the Raiders we haven't mentioned the Raiders and
the Colts too.
Right. Because now they're now in the mix because, they have a definite upgrade for a quarterback. So,
yeah. And look, and especially if they bring him in too. Hey, man, Browns are going to be good. I'm not a Mayfield guy, but if you don't ask too much of Mayfield, he can win games. Right. If that defense gets better, you add a Clowney, look, and they can run the football, and they might have the best line in football. It's top 3. I can tell you the offensive line, I'm saying. If you bring a Clowney on opposite Myles Garrett, that defense is going to be good, man. And they also signed the safety as well, Coach.
Yes, and but you're right, because and like I said this earlier, if you want to get Cleveland in some trouble, you have to put 10 guys in the box and stop that terrific running game and force Mayfield to throw, because when he has to throw and move out of the pocket, he becomes a liability. So, we'll see. We'll see.
No, but like I said, if you don't ask too much of them, they can be good. And look, like I said, that defense was more the weakness last year. You had John Johnson, really good Pro Bowl caliber safety from the Rams. You already got Myles Garrett. You bring in a Clowney to play Robin to his Batman.
Yep.
Whoo, that defense gets better. You can run the ball. You got Kareem Hunt, and you got Nick Chubb.
Mm-hmm.
I think they got to figure out the whole OBJ thing because I think they're better without him.
And I agree. And teams will still take a flyer. I don't think that you'll get a number 1 for him right now, but you might get a couple of 2s or a 2 and a 3. And there's a team north of you in Green Bay looking for a receiver that would probably give up some money and see, because if you want to keep one of the best quarterbacks in the league in there, then that's what I would do.
Yeah. We'll see what happens.
Because he's a guy that can keep him in check, I think.
But the team I think you could get to bite is the Ravens. I think you might be able to get a first or second out of them because
they are in your division. I don't know that
that's the issue, right? So. And I think they're thinking, you don't want to give a guy like Lamar Jackson a weapon too. But I don't know. I don't think OBJ to me is the most overrated receiver. Because he made a good catch. Like, he had a nice couple years. I'm not saying but he's also not this top 5 receiver. He's not. It's just not there.
Right.
He's not. And the money he got, and that's the one thing I'll give your boy. That's the best deal he made. I mean, that was a steal.
Right. He did. I'll agree. 100%.
Did he get 2 1s, was it? Was it 2 1s? Definitely got a 1 and
Yeah, a 1, I think a 1, a 3, and Jabril Peppers.
That's right. But still, I mean, that's
And Jabril Peppers is good. I mean, he's look. We lost Landon Collins in free agency, and Jabril Peppers in according to Football Focus, Jabril Peppers and Landon Collins were 1 and 2 as the safety. So we replaced the guy with the same guy. So I'm okay with that.
and so too, Coach. I didn't realize this. I had just brought that up, but now the Browns have come out and said they're willing to listen to offers, and I'm sure part of that is maybe bringing Clowney in. But the 3 teams they said that could be traded to the Colts, which I think makes sense for the Colts because you do need a receiver.
Right.
Whether you want Odell to be that guy with the way Mentz's mental capacity is right now, I question that. But then the other one, the Niners and the Patriots, I think they're good fits too. And I think with the Niners, to bring in some more weapons to that offense, we'll see what happens. But yeah, I think he's gone. And I think you'll see him get traded before draft night. I think that's a real possibility.
All right. So
Jared's calling. You want to take his call?
Yeah, let's take his call here. So
yep.
Here we go. Boom.
You get it?
What's up, Jared? All right, how you doing?
I can't hear, Coach.
Here, but not too bad. I had a good thing this weekend. My cousin got married out of the groomsmen, so I'm doing pretty well.
Congratulations.
Congratulations to them.
Thank you. Yes, indeed. I'll tell you what, though. As far as the Eagles and the Steelers go, I'll tell you where I see both these teams going. The Eagles, I think, as I said in the chat, at 6, have got to draft a speedy wideout. They need some speed in the receiver game, and Waddle seems to be the guy for them at 6, I feel. I mean,
they're not in 6 anymore. They're traded
now.
back. They're at 12 now.
Yeah.
I don't know that he'll be there at 12.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you never know, however. Anything can happen, as they say. As far as the Steelers at 24, I mean, they do need some offensive line help, however. Villanueva, I mean, he's getting between 6 to 8, 8.25 to 8.5, $9 million. I don't know if they would want to draft, however, like a tackle right out of the gate, but if they want to go running back, however, I could see Najee Harris. They keep talking. Harris seems to be the guy at 24, and they really like him a lot.
Yeah, but they don't have any horses for him to run behind.
Yeah, I agree with Coach Jared. I like both those. I like Najee Harris is a beast. I like Etienne too because he can catch the ball out of the backfield. But I think you got to get the line fixed first because, like I said, you could find a running back in the 2nd or 3rd round, or maybe even in the free agency market because Jared, the issue with the Steelers was they couldn't throw the ball and they were asking too much of Ben.
Yeah, and then Ben comes out and says, I'm going to play 2 more years, however. I mean, I'm sorry. This is going to be the swan song like this. This is going to be his last year, I think, for some reason. And then you got Mason, you got Haskins, and then, of course, I mean, I don't know. I mean, they need someone powerful in the passing game, but the question is who? We don't know.
Yeah. Well, we'll see.
And Jared, I think it was a mistake bringing Big Ben back. I really do. I think they should have moved on. I think I know he restructured his contract, but I think it was there this year to move on for him, and I think they're going to regret bringing him back next year. I really do.
I agree 100% with that.
What strikes me about Matt Dion becoming the first Japanese player to win the Green Jacket? I thought it was pretty cool, despite the fact how he was up and down a little bit yesterday. But Saturday it seemed like he was really on his game after that rain delay.
Yeah, look, I mean, I think it's a good story, and he admitted because he had a big Japanese press pool that would follow him, and because of COVID, it was less. And he said he, felt less pressure, felt more comfortable. He was the most consistent golfer, I think, over the 4 days. But no, good for him. You could see he was excited. It takes some pressure off him because, like you said, he kind of had the whole country of Japan on his back. They wanted to, get their first. Right. That wasn't just the first Masters. That was the first major ever for a Japanese player in history. So congratulations to him. And yeah, it was a really good story.
Yep. Good stuff. Good stuff. So, all right, Jared, we got to run. We're getting ready to close up here. So, all right. Thanks, buddy.
Call, Jared.
Bye, guys.
And then one thing Jared talked about too, Brown, he brought up ECW.
Yeah.
You remember ECW,
Yep,
Philly
the
Coach.
old bingo hall,
And
man.
look,
The old bingo
wrestling
hall.
will never be, and see, that's most my teenage years. Wrestling will never reach those heights again. Never.
Yeah.
You had three federations, WWE, WCW, and ECW, all doing really well. And wrestling will never and that's where you wonder, Coach, where did all the fans go? Because WCW was getting huge ratings, WWE was getting huge ratings.
I think ECW, I think those fans kind of just didn't cross over because they thumbed it down. So it was thumbed down. So I think a lot of those fans didn't cross over. And
yeah, I think the product's part of it too. I mean, you had that attitude era, and now it's much more to kids. And I think WWE's also lost touch a lot. They really have. Vince is getting older. I think it's more run by Triple H and Stephanie. And it's just like I said, I'll always watch WrestleMania, but guys who I thought would always watch wrestling, mutual friends of, and they don't watch it anymore. I mean, they'll watch the big pay-per-views, obviously, but it's really just not what it was. So
it just it's falling off and whatnot. So it's a shame. But anyway, everyone, thank you for hanging out with us and spending some time. We appreciate it. We'll be back Monday, getting more ready for the draft. I'm working on bringing a guest in, and hopefully that'll all come together next Monday. And again, we're going to have our big draft show, first round of the draft on April 28th. During 29th. The draft, or 29th, I'm sorry, get the date right. We'll do it. But you can mute the TV, listen to our commentary might be a little bit better than the same talking heads you listen to. So hopefully you'll check that out. Hey, Keith, get well. We can't wait to have you back on the show. Everyone stay safe. We'll see everybody next week. Thanks for hanging out. Make sure you share it. It's Nevada_Nick. You can reach out to him. Talk some shit to them, whatever. But remember, go to YouTube, like the page, subscribe, share it to your friends. We appreciate it. All right, everyone, take care.